Hello, everyone. My name is Derek, and welcome back to Detroit Lions Syndicate. If this is your first time here, we talk all things about the Detroit Lions, and we make videos almost every day. So consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. I would appreciate it. We are here with the Week 8 matchup between the Miami Dolphins and the Detroit Lions. And surprisingly, the Detroit Lions have more of a percentage than I would have initially given them. The matchup predictor has the Detroit Lions with a 30.7% chance to win, and the Miami Dolphins 68.9%. Now, if we go down here to passing leaders, Tua Tagovailoa, 101 passing completions out of 150 attempts for 1,296 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Jared Goff, 212 for 132, 1,583 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. Jared has to throw a touchdown pass tomorrow. He has not had a touchdown pass in 2 games, but he has thrown 2 interceptions in the last 2 games. So he has got to change that. Rushing leaders, Jamal Williams has 92 carries for 411 yards. He also did not get a touchdown last week. Should have had at least one, but we know what happened there. Raheem Mostert, 87 carries, 388 yards with 1 touchdown. Receiving yards, Tyreek Hill, 57 receptions, 773 yards with only 2 touchdowns. He gets a lot of catches, but he doesn't get in the end zone a ton. When he was with the Chiefs, a lot of his touchdown passes came on big runs. So he would get a lot of chunk yards and break away from people and score that way. Josh Reynolds, 24 receptions, 343 yards with 2 touchdowns. For the Detroit Lions out, Charles Harris, Ife Melifonwu, Mike Hughes, Chase Lucas, and Matt Nelson. Getting now to the team stats, the Miami Dolphins scored 21 points per game. The Detroit Lions, 24.3. You'll see that the Detroit Lions are ahead in almost every category. It's a lot that they are. Points allowed per game, 32.3 for the Lions, 23.6 for the Miami Dolphins. The Detroit Lions have more total yards with 410 to the Miami Dolphins 381. Passing yards, 296 for the Miami Dolphins and 264 for the Detroit Lions. Rushing yards, 85 for the Miami Dolphins and 145 for the Detroit Lions. Yards allowed, 422 for the Lions to 372 for the Miami Dolphins. Passing yards allowed, pretty equal here, 259 for the Lions and 269 for the Miami Dolphins. Rush yards allowed, they allow just over 100 yards a game, the Miami Dolphins do, and the Detroit Lions, man, 162. I remember early in the season, I think it was last year, it was 200 yards per game. Unreal. If we go to the last 5 games for the Miami Dolphins, they are just 2-3. They won against the Buffalo Bills, and then Tua actually got hurt that game, and the 3 games he was out, they lost, and they all lost by double-digit losses. So you can see that Tua is the key, and they just barely beat the Pittsburgh Steelers last Sunday night. So they are 2-3 in their last 5 games. The Detroit Lions are 1-4 in their last 5 games, last winning in week 2 at home. 36-27 over Washington, and they are on a 4-game losing streak. Here's the funny thing. The Detroit Lions and the Miami Dolphins are not that different of a team. It looked like Miami was going to be quite the powerhouse the first 3 weeks of the season, especially when they squeaked by the Buffalo Bills. And then all came crashing down, and they lost after winning the first 3. They lost the next 3. And the Detroit Lions are coming off a 4-game losing streak. And if you look at the stats, these teams are pretty much comparable. The difference is Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Dan Campbell talked about when you have 2 guys like that, it's tough to stop 2. So my thought is they're going to try to take one of those guys away. I expect Jeff Okudah to be on Tyreek Hill and maybe Amani, if he didn't get benched again, to be on Jalen Waddle. But this right here, those 2 guys are the difference makers. And as you can see, the receiving leader, Tyreek Hill, does not score touchdowns a ton. He will kill you in big chunk plays. A lot of it with his speed. It's not like he catches a bunch of bombs. His thing is he'll get the ball and he'll run. He'll run a whole lot. So we gotta stop him from doing that to us. Now the Detroit Lions are poised for an upset. This would be an upset, even though the teams are pretty comparable as far as stats. They have 2 big-time playmakers on their side of the field. So I think the Detroit Lions are sometime this season poised for an upset. Will it be this game? I'm not sure. So I'm not going to pick the Lions to win this game. I do think that they could pull it off, though. But that's been the story of the season. I will say this. If the Lions win this game, that will change the whole trajectory of the season. Right now, the Lions are picking first in the draft, but the thing that separates them from the LA Rams, who currently have the 7th seed in the NFL playoffs, believe it or not, is 2.5 wins. 2.5 wins separate the number 1 pick in the NFL draft and the 7th place LA Rams in the NFC. The Lions have to pull off this upset, and there's no better time to do it than tomorrow. It is standing room only tickets for Ford Field. First time the Lions have been home since they lost to the Seattle Seahawks 3 weeks ago. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself. And as always, go Lions.